Hi everyone, if you're an existing subscriber, welcome back. And if you're new to my channel, hello, welcome. I'm your host, Alicia Victoria Keane, and I've been interviewing inspirational people and businesses to find out how and why they inspire others. This week, I interviewed singer-songwriter Billy Lockett. Here's how it went. Welcome to my channel. If you could just begin with introducing yourself, who are you and what do you do?
My name is Billy Lockett. I am a singer, songwriter, producer, chicken eater, cat owner.
Like the chicken eater and cat owner there.
Yeah,
So when did you
great.
get into music?
I think I got into music when I was about, well, I guess properly when I was about 16 or 17. I think that was mainly because I realised at that point I probably needed to get a job, and I didn't really ever want to do that. So I thought music was the best angle. Um, it's the best kind of way of cheating life, really. But I think when I was about 8 years old was when I first started playing piano, and I think my mum had a piano. Well, my dad got my mum a piano to learn, and then she sort of gave up after about an hour, and then I sort of picked it up. And it's weird actually because I've always been able to play piano pretty much from when I started, and I've played the same way from the beginning. So I don't know. It's strange. It's just music's always been something that I've obviously really loved, but I've also found it. I've always found it quite easy to do. So I think it made it more enjoyable to actually get better at. I feel like you find it easier to learn at things that you already know that you're a bit good at. you know.
Definitely. So what is your story? Why music? I know you say about your mum got a piano and you started from there, but
I think I've always loved I've always just loved being able to create something out of nothing. I really like the idea of being able to kind of make a song from purely ideas. Like it's a pretty cool idea that an hour before I finished a song it didn't exist, and now out of nothing you've kind of created a thing that people, my grandkids can listen to that and their grandkids can listen to that song, and it's like that's a pretty quite a magic feeling to be able to just almost build something with no materials, no real materials really. So I've always loved that idea of it, and I just like the idea that I can sort of get what I mean out in a song. I find it sometimes a lot easier to talk through the songs that I'm writing rather than actually speaking in real life sometimes. Certainly now that we're on this sort of Zoom world, it's even harder to kind of communicate with people. So I think songs is personally my best way of sort of saying what I mean, which is probably kind of a personality flaw in a way. I should be able to just say things. But yeah, I find it easier to just write a song about it.
good. It's not necessarily a personality flaw because if you didn't, then you wouldn't be being successful with your music. So it is a good
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, true. That's very true.
So how does it feel that you're saying that you're putting your words down and that's how you're communicating? How does it feel knowing that your song has probably influenced and inspired so many other people?
That's a really that's a really cool thing. I really like that idea. And weirdly, I don't really think about it too much. It's strange, most of the time when you're kind of making music or you're releasing songs, you kind of see on Spotify and things. I think we've hit like 70 million plays or something now. And when you see that number, you kind of just look at it and just like, oh, it is just a number. It doesn't really seem real. It's almost like you're just collecting numbers. And it's only when you kind of go out on a tour or something, and then you see physically all these people, and you meet all these people that are actually kind of singing them back to you, and I do like meet and greets after the shows a lot of the time, and that's the only time that it really kind of dawns on me, and I'm like, oh my god, like these songs are actually real, and these are real, all these numbers are actually real. It's a mad thing. But yeah, it's an amazing feeling. I love the fact that there's people that have messaged me saying, because a lot of my songs are quite sad, and they're about sort of difficult things that have happened in my life, and so it's quite nice that I can help people who I don't even know. Like, I haven't even met some of these people, and I'm able to help. I remember there was this one guy in Nottingham. I did a show in Nottingham, and at the end I did a meet and greet, and there was a queue of people waiting to get CDs, and I noticed there was this guy right at the back who had obviously waited for everyone else to be seen. He must have waited for about an hour or so, and then he came over and he sort of, it was really sad really, and he was like, my mum's just died, and I really don't know how to deal with it, and I saw that, and I've been a fan of your music, so he just came on his own, and I think he ended up sort of crying in my arms really, and we chatted for ages through it, and it was interesting because this guy was like probably like a 50-year-old man, and I think I was like 27, 28, and I was thinking, God, like, I don't know whether I'm qualified to help, because I don't know him and I don't know anything, but at the same time, it was nice that he could feel a bit of comfort in me. I don't even know his name, I don't even know, but it's amazing that music can almost unite people who don't even know each other, and make horrible things better. Two essentially we were strangers, but because of music, I was able to kind of almost talk to him like a brother, that's an amazing thing about the job, really.
No, definitely. And it's nice that you can help other people. So
Yeah.
you also said, obviously staying along the same lines about you write it to kind of get your own words out. Do you think that's helped with your success, that you're almost doing it for yourself other than doing it to try and please other people?
Yeah, totally. I think in the past I used to write almost everything to please the label, or hope that it would sell, or hope that it would get radio play, and now I've just stopped caring about all that. Well, it's crazy actually. As soon as I stopped caring about that, that's when I started getting a lot of fans, and the streams started going from the thousands to the millions, and it's just like, it's so obvious. As soon as you start just trying to make music that you like and you feel something towards, everything else all falls into place. And now I kind of like, I'm about to sort of release some new music, and it's because I love it. And if everyone else loves it, then great, that's a bonus really. And obviously, I hope probably people like it. But most importantly, I think the enjoyment now for me is the process of doing it, and that's the fun bit. And I think a lot of artists forget that. They think, right, quickly make the music, put it out, and then hopefully I can reap the rewards. And it's like, no, like, the reward is making the thing. You're missing the point here. Like, I spent the last year and a half, I'm kind of a bit sad that I'm about to release something, because it means that I have to stop working on it, and that's been so much fun. So, and I think that's the right way to be. I think you should focus on, the most important thing is, do you like it? No, do you love it? And then it's like, great, and then everything else should come after. What it looks like, and the press photos, and what playlist you get on the radio, all that stuff. And I'm not going to say it's rubbish, because that's all my manager's job, and they're amazing managers, and all the other bits are important. But for me personally, the music is just everything, and as long as I love it, nothing else really matters.
It comes from the heart that way as well, as opposed to just, oh, I've got to get something down on paper, get it out. So I completely agree.
And I think people can hear that as well. I think people know if it isn't from the heart. I think, you can it's a bit like a comedian, you can see straight through a comedian if they're not fully real, and if they don't genuinely believe in what they're saying, it isn't funny, and you can't connect with it. And I think a lot of artists think they can get away with not being as real. But it, you know, for me personally, if I hear a song, like, it's like if there's even an ounce of fake in a song, I feel like everyone can't. It's so easy to just see that and just think, you know. For me personally, if I'm listening to a song, I have to believe every word they're saying. And if I even slightly have an ounce of them almost thinking, oh, is this fake? Is this put on? I instantly don't really connect with it, you know, on a personal level.
Very interesting to hear, especially from like your side of things. Your recent album has made it into the top 10. How much
Yeah.
work and effort goes into like making one album?
I guess it depends really, because that album was actually, it was, if I'm honest, it was a bit of a fluke, really. I don't know how we got in the top 10. I think it was a classical album, so I wasn't actually singing on it, which maybe there's a sign there. Maybe that's a little hint to me. But with that, it was relatively quick. I kind of had the idea, and the whole album took me only a couple of months really to kind of work it all out. But that was because I produced it myself and I wrote it all in the cellar, so it wasn't really going through too many people. So that was only a couple of months, but I think a lot of the songs were already written and a lot of them were kind of just sort of classical versions of already released songs. Whereas I think when I actually come to release my sort of, what I'm saying is my proper album, it's ridiculous. I've had a top 10 and I still don't really class it as my proper album. But when I do like the proper one, that will definitely have taken me realistically about 15 years-ish. Because I've been writing songs for it my whole life, really, since I started. Some of the songs I wrote 10 years ago, and some of them I wrote like a week ago. So, and I'm still always adding, and I'm still working. I mean, how long does an album take? Yeah, I still haven't done it yet. So that's how long. I still haven't finished it. I mean, I've got about 200 songs, and just for that I've written this year. So trying to bottle it down to 12 on an album is impossible, because the 12 that I wanted on it this year were totally different from the 12 I wanted on it last year, and the same, there'll probably be 12 new ones next year. So I either have to just start churning them out so I can keep up with the rate that I write, or just be a bit more strict on myself and just say, okay, which are the best. But it's so hard to know, because there is no such thing as best or worst, really. Everything depends on what mood you're in. And one day I can listen to a song and hate it, and then I listen to it 2 months later. And I remember actually I was in sorry, I'm waffling a bit here, but I remember when I was in like Tesco's the other day, and one of my songs came on, and I remember when I released it with the label, and I absolutely hated it. And I remember begging the label not to release it because I just thought it was awful. And then it came on in Tesco's the other day, and I was sort of listening, and I was like, actually, this is a bit of a banger. And I just think it's so interesting how it just depends on it. So many different things. You can listen to a song 100 times and have a different opinion every time. So.
That is very weird. I suppose it depends what mood you're in, and
Yeah, books of the supermarket. Maybe that helped.
maybe. With your recent album, again, you just mentioned there's no singing on it. It's literally more like classical sort of music. From me, like, who's not a songwriter, would think that that's probably more difficult than putting words onto paper. So where do you get your inspiration from?
Oh, that's interesting. It's weird because for me personally, putting words on paper is the hardest bit. I mean, the music is something I find really, that sounds really bad, but I find that bit really easy because I just hear it. I just feel like it's like working out a safe, like the codes on a safe, and you kind of like, you play one chord and then you go to another and you go, no, that doesn't feel right. So you go to a different one and then you go, no, that doesn't feel right. And then you hit one and you're like, oh, that works. Okay, now I've got 2 chords. And then you just go on from there. And so for me, it makes it a lot easier because it's very obvious of what's right and what's wrong, even though there is no such thing. but still in my head, you know, it's like, oh, clearly I should go there. Yeah, that feels good. That doesn't feel so good. No, it doesn't. Whereas I think with lyrics, I find it a lot more like, okay, you know, with lyrics, there's not really anywhere to hide. You really have to I really try to make sure every word that I say has a point and there is no filler. And so with that, it's kind of like, oh, okay, right, now I really need to think about that. And there needs to be a concept, and it needs to be interesting, but not too interesting. You know, you can't drift away. Because I remember when I went through a phase of writing songs about just really odd things, like, you know, like the specific engineer, really odd, or a drink that I was really into. And then I was like, okay, no, I need to. It was, then I started writing songs just about love and loss, and then it was like, okay, that's a bit bland. So now I'm trying to kind of infuse the two together, like, you know, talk about a breakup, but almost like use a metaphor of a car that's out of control, and so you know, we're in the wrong gears, and you know, we're driving too fast with our seatbelts off and things like that. And then it's kind of, okay, that's interesting, you can relate to it because it's a relationship, but at the same time, it's not, I love you, I miss you, where have you gone? It's more, there's interesting things to talk about, specifics. So yeah, lyrics I've always found a lot harder, or maybe I'm just a bit more picky when it comes to lyrics.
So how do you connect with, like you say that it's kind of what fits, how do you emotionally connect with that piece of like classical music?
Well, this is the thing. I think for me personally, I don't know whether fully do emotionally connect when it comes to the classical album. Like, don't get me wrong, I loved making it, and I love it. But for me personally, for me to fully connect with a song, it's about the lyrics and about the words. And I really like songs that have like an interesting twist. Like, you know, there's an artist called Lau who does a lot of that kind of thing of like, he's got like a lyric that's like, I like me better when I'm with you. And it just like, it's obvious, but it's nice. And it's also a little bit of a twist, you know. And he's got all sorts of little things. And also that, you know, the lyric of like, if the world was ending, you'd come over, right? And just the word right at the end suddenly stops it being so songy, and it suddenly makes it so real, because it's you can totally imagine someone going, if the world was ending, you'd come over. If it stopped there, it would just be like song. But because of that right, it's just like, you would come over, right? And then it's like, there's something so real about that. And so for me personally, to get attached emotionally to a song, it has to feel and sound like something I know, someone I know. It needs to sound like something that someone I know would say to me, and that makes it feel so much more in the room. And so that's why I've tried to kind of make a lot of my lyrics, you know, sometimes I've been criticized in press for being a bit obvious when I'm with some of my lyrics. And I think it's because I really like to just state it. Sometimes it's good to just state that you feel like this, and you know, and you don't have to be clever with it. And you know, the oceans were blue and they symbolize the way that my mind is like, no, sometimes it's good to just put in a lyric like, truth is, I only think about you all the time. Just say it, you know. It's like, and I think sometimes when you say it, it can just pierce the heart so much more than being all wishy-washy with fancy, you know, Dylan lyrics. No offense, I love Dylan, but you know, I think nowadays people like that idea of just saying it.
Being to the point and just.
Yeah.
Your album, you also donated part of the proceeds to charity. Would you
Yeah.
just, people watching this, explain what charity it was and why you made that choice?
Yes, it was the National Emergencies Trust, and I think I made the choice because it was a charity that I could actually physically see things happening with it, because it sort of like stems out to local towns and things like that. So it's a specific charity that I saw the help working with, especially through Corona. And you know, it basically, it was giving money to old people's homes to help them reconnect, and to youth centres so they could reconnect. Because at the moment, it's just like, obviously the world is a mess and everyone's gone on about it, so I'll try not to. But I think for me, this was one of the standout charities that I could feel was really making a difference, especially with Northampton and especially through coronavirus. And so it just made total sense to me to do that, because I love Northampton, and I never used to, but in the last like couple of years, I love this town, and I'm so keen to make it better. And I'm so happy that weirdly it is getting better. I don't know don't know why it took a pandemic for this town to start actually getting quite good, but it is now, and I feel like I really want to help champion that, you know. So any charity that helps the town is a good one in my books. Yeah.
Have you always been from Northampton?
Yeah. So I was born in Northampton and I was raised here, and then I moved to London about 5 years ago now. No, yeah, 5 years ago I moved to London and did the whole thing. I did the whole London thing, and we lived in Camden and Brixton and then Forest Hill, and we're just. I realised that it's interesting. Like, you think Northampton's awful, and so you leave, and then you realise how great it is here, and then you just end up coming back. I didn't like, maybe London is for some people, but for me, I just like. I want an easy life, and I want friendly people, and I don't want to have to queue for hours and hours just to get a sandwich, and I don't want to have to spend 40 quid every day just getting somewhere, and just everything about London was stressful. And I just remember, I have memories of London. If I could describe the whole 5 years living there, it was kind of just, if that makes sense. And now I'm home, it's just like, oh yes, everything's just easy and nice again. But I know I needed to do it, and I wouldn't be in the position I'm in now in my career without living there. And the experiences that I got from it, and as soon as pretty much 2 months after moving there, I was signed to Warner, and then I was touring the world, and great things happened because of that city, and I think I got what I needed out of it, and I got out when at the right time. I have no regrets about leaving.
So,
It was the best thing I ever did. Yeah.
so for people watching this, a lot of people say, in general, like, move out of your hometown, make sure you like go travel. Would you say yes to that opinion or no?
Yeah, definitely. I would say definitely do it, especially if you're an artist. If you're trying to, well, actually, weirdly, coronavirus world, maybe don't go to London. I don't think there's really much there anymore. But I mean, certainly before coronavirus, if you were an artist and you wanted to get noticed, you kind of needed to go to London, because all the writing sessions were there, all the labels were there, all the PR companies, all the radio pluggers, managers, everything is in London. Not so much now. Everyone's on a Zoom call. But I think when, London is the capital. I mean, LA and London are probably the capitals of music, maybe Nashville as well. But those three cities are important, and I sort of proved to myself that going to London was the beginning of the rest of my life. But at the same time, I know a lot of people that have gone to London, tried to make it work, killed themselves trying to make it work, and are probably still there, on like broke, not being able to afford to really live there, and struggling. And I think sometimes you've got to know when it isn't working, and when you've got to say, okay, maybe this isn't the reason it's not happening. But I think, yeah, London was an important part of my life. But who knows now? Everything's different. So it might be completely wrong advice.
No, completely different now. Very weird, very strange times we're living in. In an interview, you said that you're now ready to start singing again, get back to singing. How come you didn't sing on your last album?
Oh, good question, actually. I'd always wanted to make a classical album, and me and my dad made a lot of classical albums when I was a kid, just for fun, really. And I think when I was in lockdown, I was back at his old house, which I'm in now, actually. So I sort of live here now, and so I just thought, I've always wanted to do this. Nothing's going on. I was just learning how to produce as well. I think I was in the early stages of production, and I just built this kind of, so I was sort of an idiot with a shotgun, really, because I built this whole studio and I didn't really know how to use anything. So I was like, and I got all this fancy kit and I was just sort of staring at it. And I was like, well, I'm going to learn me in a way to kind of, work on the production side of things and also make some music that I love. And it was kind of just, it was purely just a bit of fun. And I never expected it to go to top 10 in any way. Like, it was a complete fluke. I remember we were sort of, I woke up and we were like number 110 or something in the iTunes chart. And it just sort of gave me an idea to be like, hang on a minute, if I can sort of run around my house screaming about this enough, then slowly maybe everyone will start to get involved and jump on the bandwagon of it. And it just got bigger and bigger. And in the end, we were, in all these magazines and in the top 10 and all this ridiculous stuff, really. So most importantly, it was practice for me and a bit of fun. And it just got way out of hand.
For the good reasons, not the bad though.
Yeah, really good reasons, yeah.
You're ready to get back to singing now. Where do you see your career going in the next sort of 5 years?
Wow, 5 years. So I'm going to put out some new music soon. I'm sort of announcing it very soon. I've spent the last year or so just trying to sort of get everything together. And then ideally, I keep saying this in every interview I've ever done, but hopefully get an actual proper album out at some point. And that's the kind of goal, really. That would be nice to just round off an album and get it out and then hopefully tour. My plan is to sort of, for the next 5 years, is to just try and keep doing what I'm doing, which is make music I like, release music I like, occasionally tour it. And now I've really been getting into producing other artists' music as well, and like slowly becoming a record producer as well, which I always kind of thought, oh, I couldn't possibly be that because I'm an artist and record producers are, they have a different kind of ear. And now I'm just like, well, no, that's ridiculous. I love music and I know what I like to sound the way I like it to sound. Why can't I do all of it? So it's been really nice, actually. I only work, I'm in a privileged position where I don't have to do it for the money. So I only really work on artist stuff that I like. And it's great, half of my life I'm making music and releasing it. And half of the time I'm working on amazing up and coming artists' music and helping them out as well. So it's, my dream for the next 5 years is to basically not stop doing what I'm already doing, really. I almost feel like I got the dream. Everything I've ever wanted, I have. I wanted to get on national American TV, primetime TV. I wanted to do an arena tour, and I wanted fans. And, even though I'm not the biggest artist in the world, I have all the childhood dreams, selling out Shepherd's Bush Empire and all of my to-do list, my checklist from when I was like 18. I've done everything. So I didn't aim too high. I was realistic, and I've got there with it. So I don't think I need number ones and things. Like top 10's fine. I'm fine as long as I can keep living with top 10. I'm happy. Even top 40. I mean, it doesn't even matter as long as I love what I'm making. That's the key.
I like that bit of advice. Love what you're doing, and that's brilliant. So, my final question before we go on to the quick questions: who's your biggest inspiration?
My biggest inspiration, I think, probably my mum and my dad. And it's interesting because I've always said my dad. That's always been the go-to thing. I've always said, and my dad's a very obvious one for many reasons. One reason that he's not with me now, so I'm always thinking about him. I'm always inspired by him. Also, he was an artist, and he sort of was the first person that kind of showed me that you can make a living, do it. Like, he was like a painter. He's an amazing painter, actually. Look, that's one of his paintings. So he was an artist, and he was the first person that sort of taught me that you can make a living off something you love doing, and you don't have to, do that kind of the daily slog of hating your life and doing things you don't want to do, you know, if you really want to try at something, you have to put in the work and do it for years and years for nothing, and with the hope that you can eventually make it work. So he's a very obvious one. But I think recently, like, I've realized how important my mum is, and I never really, my mum left when I was 8, and I never really had a great relationship with her. You know, it was more kind of, I mean, I'm talking as if she's gone. Like, you know, I love her to bits, and she's amazing. But sometimes I've never fully appreciated how much she does for me, because we have a sort of relationship, almost a working relationship. She's a very strong businesswoman, and she's a top accountant. She helps run my business with me, and you know, she's really important. She's a very strong woman, and I've started to realize recently that I don't think I give her enough credit, because my dad is the very, like, he's the flashy one, you know. He was the famous artist, and it's almost a bit, he almost steals the limelight a bit. And I think recently now I'm starting to really appreciate her and everything she's done. She's taught me that, you know, yes, you have to be creative and a bit wacky, but you also need to focus and work out, you know, can you afford to really do this ridiculous idea? You know, and is it plausible, you know? And before, I always used to kind of dismiss her as one of the suits, you know, and now I'm kind of, actually, she's really taught me that if you have creativity and you have a bit of sensibility, that's the key. You know, you can't be too much of an artist. At the same time, you can't be too much of a business head. I think the two need to sort of dance with each other, and I think that's the difference between, you know, the superstars and the kind of just the broke artist that no one ever hears of. But he's a genius, you know. There's so many people I know, like my dad. You know, he was an incredible artist, but he was a terrible businessman. So he kind of just he didn't know how to. He could make it, but he couldn't sell it. So yeah.
Thank you very much for sharing that.
Yeah, all good.
Finally, I have 10 very quick questions. Okay, are you ready?
Yes.
If you could sing with anyone, who would you choose?
Who would I choose? Who would I choose? Cat Stevens.
Okay. What's your favourite song? Not one of yours.
What's my favourite song that's not one of mine? Actually, it is a Cat Stevens song called Father and Son. It's absolutely amazing, and he's actually recently re-released the album. He released it in 1970, and he's re-released the same album, like a second version of it 50 years later. I mean, he's a pretty old man now. But yeah, he's amazing. He's like a really amazing songwriter, and he's got a song called Father and Son, and it's just, oh, it's perfect. It's all about a son talking to their dad, explaining why he needs to move out and why he can't live with him anymore. It's heartbreaking, but it's amazing.
I might have to have a listen to that. Next question. Custard or ice cream?
Neither.
Really?
Yeah, neither. I'm not big on white and creamy things. In general, really. You know, mayonnaise, cheese sauce, you know, all sorts of things.
Okay.
Yeah.
What makes you unique?
Probably everything. Sadly. God. I don't know. I don't know what makes me unique. I'm trying to think of something and thinking anything I say might make me seem a bit arrogant. Maybe that I don't really have a filter sometimes, and I should probably think a bit more before I speak. I almost speak and think.
Next question. One thing that you would want to learn?
What would I want to learn? What would I want to learn? I'd love to learn how to cook, because I can't. I burn, you know, I can't even cook garlic bread, you know. I'm useless. I had to do a cooking. I know this isn't really a fast fire round, is it? But I just want to chat about this for a second. I did this. I got asked to do this like celebrity cooking show, and I had to do a signature dish. And they were like, "What do you want to do?" And I ended up doing barbecue beef super noodles, and everyone else was doing like gourmet, you know, roast beef and lamb shank and stuff like that. Literally, I went on there and just made. I had to do it in a saucepan as well, because they didn't even have a microwave. So
I was going to say you did it in a saucepan on the microwave.
yeah, no, I don't know how to do it in the saucepan, so I had to wing the whole thing really. When I got there, they were like, "Oh no, we don't do microwaves." So and that was the only way I know how to do it. So I couldn't even do that. So yeah, cooking. To answer your question, yeah.
If you had to drink one thing for the rest of your life, whether it be coffee or water, what would you choose?
Oh, it would be orange squash.
Oh, really?
Orange squash. Yeah. Although I just tried Ribena for the first time in my life, and it's amazing.
It is.
So good. And I was like, why have I not? I've never known about this.
Have you
Anyway,
tried hot Ribena yet?
no.
That's nice as well. Like, you know, when it's really cold,
Yeah.
like it's
Yeah.
hot Ribena.
Hot Ribena. I'm going to do that as soon as we finish this. I'm doing that.
One thing that bugs you.
One thing that bugs me. Oh God, what bugs me? I'm really trying hard on this because I'm sure that there are things. I'm sure there are. Oh, come on. What is there? What is there? What bugs me? I think one thing that bugs me is my phone. The general the annoyance that I know how addicted I am to it, and I know that there are so many things on it that I need. And every time I try and sort of say to myself, right, I'm going to put it down, I'm going to hide from it for a bit. There's always like, oh yeah, but I need to know the time. Oh, I need to check my emails, or oh, I've got the calendar on there and things like that. So I think one thing that bugs me is the phone, but at the same time the phone is my life, and it's very important, and it's given me a career, all these things. So yeah.
Proudest moment?
Proudest moment, I think proudest moment probably be a couple James Corden show. That was a really proud moment doing that. Just getting to America was a feeling of, yes, I feel like that, everything I've worked for was building to getting to LA and doing a TV show, and doing O2 Arena. Well, that was an amazing moment. And even though I hated being signed, and the whole major record label thing was a disaster, it was still definitely a proud moment, because I spent my whole life sort of trying to do that, and it felt like the first time I sort of could show my mum that it was a real thing, and it was going to make some actual money. And that for a long time before, she was kind of just like, why are you doing this? It's never going to happen. And so I think that day when we went to Warner and popped the champagne and signed on the contract, that was an amazing feeling, a real kind of surreal buzz. I dreamt of that moment since I was about 15. So yeah, that was good.
I bet. Your favourite animal?
Oh, cats, 100%. Cats. I'm obsessed with my cat Barney. He literally is my life. I
Oh,
mean, he really is, like, to the point where, as soon as all day while I'm working in the cellar, he'll literally never leave my side, no matter where I am. I mean, he's literally here now, just sort of.
oh.
We were like, he's always next to me, no matter what room I'm in. If I leave a room, he gets up, even like to go to the toilet and everything. Right, he just doesn't leave. So
How
yeah,
cute and loyal.
yeah, he is. He's like a dog. It's crazy. But I raised him from, like, I think I took him when he was only like 2 days old, I think. So I'm the only thing he's ever known in his life. So it's definitely my baby. And he was born the day my dad died as well, which was quite a weird thing. So we kind of we got together. We both had nobody, and we just sort of we stuck together for 6 years. So yeah, he's important.
And final question. If you could have one superpower, what would you choose?
I think it would be to stop time, because, and that's a recent thing I've actually thought about, because I feel like I'm working so much at the moment, and there's so much that I want to do, and I just feel like if I could just stop time for a bit and get everything ready today, I feel like I could release 10 albums a month, and that would be ideal for me, to just be able to control how fast the day goes, and be able to almost like just push fast forward when I'm getting a bit bored, and stop it when I've got too much on. Yeah.
Good one. I like that one. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Now, I hope you all really enjoyed that interview with Billy. It was great to speak with Billy about moving away from your hometown and how it can make you grow as a person. As we heard Billy speak about, he moved to London and he lived in London for a while whilst he was progressing his music career. And if he hadn't have done that, he probably wouldn't have got signed. Now you can follow Billy at the links here. If you have someone that inspires you, comment below. I'm always so interested to find out who others find inspirational. Likewise, if you have an inspirational story to tell, comment below, drop me a message on social media, or even drop me an email. On Sunday at 4 o'clock, I'll be speaking with one of the most iconic British brands, Custard luggage. If you've enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, comment below, let me know what you think, and don't forget to hit subscribe. See you all on Sunday. See you later.